Paint a picture with me for a second. You're standing in the sweltering heat of MetLife Stadium, and later the blinding lights of Allegiant Stadium. The deafening roar of tens of thousands of fans is literally shaking the concrete beneath your feet.
Oh, absolutely.
The bass is just vibrating in your chest. It's the Arirang World Tour. And the choreography on stage is flawless, moving at that breakneck, synchronized speed that, only the biggest groups in the world can really pull off.
Right, it's peak performance.
Exactly. But then the stadium goes completely silent, a member falls, he hits the stage. And in an instant, the entire K-pop world is turned upside down. Welcome to StarScope K-Report.
Join Eric and Minji as they ride the Hallyu Wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates. From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment.
We really, really need to unpack what is happening right now because my timeline is just flooded with conflicting information, blurry fan cams, and these highly curated official agency statements. It is just a lot to process.
It is a massive amount of information. And the mission of today's deep dive is to look at the intense physical and emotional toll of the Arirang World Tour on BTS. We're starting with Jimin's alarming battle with heat exhaustion on stage.
Which was so hard to watch.
It really was. But we're also going to uncover the shocking health confessions from V and Jungkook. Just, dropped out of nowhere.
Just processing that, honestly.
Right. And from there, we need to analyze the darker systemic pressures of the K-pop industry that literally force idols to push past their physical breaking points.
Yeah, so we're going to be exploring the official statements, looking at the divide between domestic K-netz, who, drive so much of the domestic conversation, and the international fan reactions.
Because there's a big split there sometimes.
Oh, huge. And honestly, I think the most fascinating part of all this is the growing power of fandoms to hold these massive corporate agencies accountable.
So let's start with the headline that made ARMY worldwide collectively hold their breath, which was Jimin collapsing on stage.
It was terrifying. I mean, if you look at the footage from New Jersey at MetLife Stadium, the heat and humidity are just visceral.
Oh yeah, New Jersey in August is no joke.
It's awful. If you've ever tried going for a light jog in August humidity, imagine layering a heavy structured leather jacket over your clothes, turning a massive industrial space heater directly onto your face, and then sprinting while singing live for 3 hours.
It's an impossible physical task.
That is what Jimin's body was trying to regulate. He's known for his endless, boundless energy and flawless visuals, but he was visibly struggling, he fell multiple times on stage.
Yeah, the footage is really tough to watch.
But every single time, he stubbornly pushed himself back up.
And if we look at the factual physiological breakdown of that environment, it is literally a perfect storm for total systemic failure.
Wait, how so? Medically?
Yeah, according to the Performing Arts Safety Standards from UCOP, heat illness isn't just about the weather outside. When you combine high ambient air temperatures and high humidity with heavy, layered stage costumes.
Which they always wear.
Exactly. Your body's primary cooling mechanism, which is sweat evaporation, completely stops working.
Because the air is already too saturated with moisture to actually absorb the sweat?
Spot on. And then you add the intense lighting rigs. Stadium stage lights are essentially high-wattage radiators beating down on you.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about the lights.
Yeah, you combine that external heat with the massive internal heat generated by the high-tempo physical exertion of K-pop choreography, and your core temperature just skyrockets.
That's terrifying.
UCOP guidelines warn that this leads to heavy breathing, severe dizziness, and trembling. What happens is your blood vessels dilate to push blood to the skin to cool down, which drops your blood pressure, depriving your brain of oxygen.
And that's why the trembling and falling happens.
Yes. It is a direct precursor to life-threatening heat stroke.
And you know what breaks my heart? There's a specific moment caught on film. Jimin is on the floor trying to catch his breath, and he literally waves the cameraman away.
I saw that.
He was so desperate to hide his pain because he knew if his face went up on the massive Jumbotron, the entire fandom would panic.
Which is such a massive burden to carry in that moment.
It is, and it brings up a huge point of contention online. I just have to ask, from an industry perspective, why on earth would a camera director zoom in on him when he is so clearly suffering? K-netz and international fans are absolutely furious about this.
Rightfully so.
There's a report from Koreabood detailing how the camera directors completely ignored Jimin during his actual singing parts. They skipped him entirely during the introduction.
Which makes no sense.
None. But the second he needed space, the second he stepped back and signaled them to look away, they put a camera right in his face.
It highlights a really severe lack of duty of care in live broadcasting. The directorial choice prioritizes spectacle over human safety.
Exactly.
But what's even more concerning, medically speaking, is that the signs of extreme fatigue didn't just start in New Jersey.
Right, they were already showing in Vegas.
Exactly. If we look backward at the Las Vegas shows at Allegiant Stadium, there was a visible, steep drop in Jimin's weight, reported by fans online.
Everyone on Twitter was talking about it.
Yeah, and there was footage of his hands visibly trembling from baseline fatigue before the show even reached its midpoint. We are talking about a physical breakdown caused by nonstop rehearsals, relentless travel schedules, and back-to-back performances without any real recovery days.
He was giving every single ounce of himself. I mean, the emotion in Las Vegas was just raw.
It was palpable.
During the performance of The Truth Untold, Jimin shed tears on stage. You could see the frustration in his eyes, almost like he was angry at his own body for not being able to execute at 100%.
Which is such a tough mental space to be in.
And instantly, Jungkook, the youngest of the group, our golden Maknae, just rushed over to give him this massive, warm hug in front of thousands of people. Jin was constantly checking on him between numbers.
It's a real testament to their dynamic as a team, how they take care of each other. But the contrast is what is so striking to me.
It is, because you contrast that immense physical pain with his absolute unwavering professionalism.
Right.
He's suffering, but he reads a fan sign in the crowd that says, "Jimin, don't be sick," and he just gives this soft smile and blows a kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And during an upbeat song, he playfully slips ice down Jin's shirt just to make the stadium laugh. He noticed a fan crying near the front row and literally gave them his cowboy hat. Industry staff came out afterward and said his genuine off-camera kindness is even kinder than people imagine.
He really is a consummate professional. But, Jimin gave every ounce of himself on that stage.
Yeah.
And what's becoming alarmingly clear is that he wasn't the only one silently suffering.
Oh, don't even get me started on this next part.
Wait until you hear the shocking medical confession V and Jungkook just dropped on a Weverse Live.
Oh my gosh, the Weverse Live. It was complete emotional whiplash for the fans. You know how it is, you tune into a post-concert Weverse Live after the Baltimore shows, expecting the usual chaotic, casual banter.
Yeah, just the guys hanging out.
Exactly. You expect them to be in a hotel room, eating late-night ramen, unwinding, but instead, they dropped these devastating health updates.
It was a very sobering broadcast. Let's break down the facts, which have now been corroborated by medical reporting from NDTV and Kazanform.
Okay, let's hear it.
First, we have V, Kim Taehyung. He revealed a staggering 70% hearing loss in his right ear.
70% for a main vocalist.
Yes, and what's critical here is the timeline. He stated it started 2.5 years ago during his time serving in the military's special duty team.
So he just lived with it.
He assumed it was just physical fatigue from the intense training environment, loud noises, exhaustion, and he ignored it. But the reality of unilateral or single-sided hearing loss is incredibly severe.
I can't even imagine trying to perform like that.
NDTV medical experts explain that when you lose hearing in one ear, you suffer from something called the head shadow effect. High-pitched sounds coming from the weaker side are physically blocked by the density of the skull.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the brain completely loses its ability to locate where a sound is coming from.
So for a musician relying on in-ear monitors and spatial awareness on a massive echoing stadium stage, it's like trying to drive in a chaotic, high-speed Formula One race with your entire right side mirror and peripheral vision completely blacked out.
That is a perfect analogy, actually.
Your brain has to be exhausted just trying to fill in the missing blind spots.
It is. The brain and the remaining good ear have to work twice as hard to filter background noise from the actual music track. This leads to chronic physical exhaustion and deep cognitive fatigue.
It's just so unfair.
And medically speaking, treating inner ear nerve damage is a race against the clock. Specialists state that evaluating and treating the ear within 48 to 72 hours of the initial trauma gives the highest probability of using steroids to restore nerve function.
But it's been years for him.
Exactly. Waiting weeks, let alone 2.5 years, risks permanent, irreversible cellular damage.
It makes you just pause and realize how much they are hiding from us to protect us. And then in the same casual live stream, Jungkook mentions that he has a severe shin injury.
Right. Kazanform reported the details he shared. Jungkook described being on the verge of a full stress fracture.
A stress fracture from dancing.
Yeah, and a stress fracture isn't a clean break. It is micro damage to the bone itself caused by repetitive high-impact force. Think about jumping and landing on hard stages for years.
God, that sounds so painful.
It is. The bone cells literally cannot rebuild fast enough to keep up with the damage. He admitted dealing with severe inflammation and that it forced him to hold back during the Baltimore shows.
And this is right as they are heading into highly demanding stadium dates in Arlington and Toronto.
Exactly. Add to that RM dealing with an accessory navicular sprain, which is a severe ankle ligament issue right before the tour kicked into high gear.
Okay, so this is what I just need to understand. When you have a 70% hearing loss or a microfractured shin, what is the actual conversation happening in the green room between the idol and the management?
That's the real question.
Right. How does someone with a fractured shin complete a 3-hour stadium set? What kind of conditioning makes a person ignore their own broken bones?
It usually involves intense medical masking just to get through the night.
Like painkillers.
We are talking about heavy kinetic taping, pre-show painkiller injections, icing, and relying on the massive spike of adrenaline from the crowd to temporarily mask the pain signals to the brain.
But once the show is over...
The moment they step off stage and the adrenaline drops, the pain just crashes down on them. As for the conditioning that makes them do it, that is the core systemic issue we have to unpack.
We really do.
But before we dive into the industry pressures that create that exact conditioning, if you want to stay updated on the members' recovery and all things K-pop, hit that subscribe button to StarScope K-Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead.
Seriously, hit subscribe because we go deep here. It's the only way to keep up with all the KT.
So if we look at the bigger picture, we have to recognize that these aren't isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a highly pressurized ecosystem.
Oh, without a doubt.
Research from the BYU Scholars Archive provides a really stark look at how the idol training system creates this dynamic from day one.
The dark side of the limelight.
Precisely. The training system demands 15-hour workdays. Trainees, sometimes as young as 8 to 12 years old, drop out of regular schooling to dedicate themselves entirely to vocal and dance practice.
They give up their entire childhoods.
They do. They face extreme beauty standards that lead to severe restrictive diets. And fundamentally, it is built on a financial structure that historically utilized slave contracts.
Right. Can we actually break down how those contracts work? Because it isn't just about working hard, it is a financial trap.
A massive one.
When you are a child trainee, the company pays for your dormitory, your meals, your vocal coaches, and your dance instructors. But none of that is free. It is tallied on a ledger as a loan with interest.
Yep, they track every penny.
So by the time you finally debut, if you even debut, because so many don't, you owe the company hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly. You debut with a mountain of debt. The BYU research specifically references Hunggang, a former member of Super Junior.
Oh, I remember his case.
It was awful. He suffered severe kidney problems, chronic gastritis, and a herniated disc because he was practically never given a day off. When you owe the company that much money, you do not have the leverage to call in sick.
You literally can't afford to rest.
The companies demand a rapid return on their investment, and the human body pays the price.
And it is so important to note that this leverage and exploitation isn't just isolated to Korean music agencies. This cross-industry exploitation in Asian entertainment is entirely systemic. Look at what just happened in the C-drama world with Zhang Yufei.
The C-drama actor case is a prime example of financial leverage overriding human boundaries.
For those who didn't see the translation threads on Koreaboo, Zhang Yufei is a rising actor who was cast in a short drama, but the female lead opposite him wasn't just an actress. She was the primary wealthy investor of the entire project.
She literally held the purse strings.
Exactly. And because she funded the production, she completely abused her power. She forced over 60 unscripted kissing scenes into the show.
Over the explicit objections of both the director and the screenwriter, by the way.
Right, and the listener might wonder, why didn't the director just yell cut? Because the director is an employee of the investor. If he challenges her, she pulls the funding, the production shuts down, and hundreds of crew members lose their jobs.
It's a hostage situation financially.
So Zhang Yufei was trapped. During filming, she held him so tightly he couldn't step away. He explicitly begged her not to use her tongue, and she just ignored him. He was left with visible bruises on his lips from how hard she was biting him on camera.
That is blatant assault.
It is. And then, to add insult to injury, she withheld his final payment of 30,000 Chinese yuan, claiming the drama didn't perform well.
It perfectly illustrates the terrifying power imbalance. When the entertainer is entirely financially beholden to the investor or the agency, they are rendered completely powerless.
It makes me so sick.
Whether it is a C-drama investor forcing physical intimacy or massive K-pop agencies like HYBE, SMYG, or JYP, historically controlling an idol's persona, their dating life, their diet, and their financial freedom, it is the exact same mechanism of exploitation. The artist is treated as a commodity.
But I want to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Because agencies have historically relied on the fans blindly consuming the product and not asking questions about how the sausage gets made. But aren't the fans hypocritical here?
How do you mean?
Well, we send protest trucks demanding the idol's rest, right? But if a group goes on a long hiatus, the fandom gets bored, the algorithm drops them, and fans move on to the next shiny new group making a comeback. Aren't we, the consumers, creating a massive financial demand that forces these 15-hour workdays in the first place?
That is the central paradox of the idol industry. The fans demand health and rest, but the underlying business model requires constant visibility. If an idol isn't producing content, they are losing market share.
So we're part of the problem.
Well, historically, yes. However, if we look at the data and the recent trends, we are seeing a genuine, measurable shift. The era of the silent, passive fan who just buys the album and looks the other way is over.
That's very true.
Fandoms have evolved into powerful, highly organized global watchdogs.
ARMY really is the blueprint for this kind of organization. The sheer logistical power of a modern fandom is staggering.
It really is unmatched.
Do you remember when BTS donated $1 million to the Black Lives Matter movement? Our ARMY mobilized their global network and matched that $1 million donation in roughly 24 hours.
I remember that. It was incredible.
They proved that they aren't just consumers throwing money at merchandise. They are a highly organized collective capable of massive financial and social action.
And corporate agencies are finally realizing that they cannot ignore that kind of collective power. Because netizens and international fans now have the digital infrastructure to trend hashtags globally, organize massive coordinated boycotts, and directly threaten an agency's bottom line.
Because at the end of the day, agencies only care about the bottom line.
Exactly. If a fan base decides to boycott an album drop, the agency's stock price literally plummets the next morning. The BYU research points out that this digital advocacy has empowered idols, leading to a measurable increase in successful lawsuits against those abusive slave contracts.
We really do hold the power now. The agencies are terrified of public backlash. If a company mistreats an idol, K-netz won't just complain online. They will rent LED protest trucks and park them right outside the company headquarters in Seoul.
And international fans will mass email the executives.
It's a two-pronged attack,
which fundamentally changes the power dynamic in the green room.
If we synthesize all of this back to our starting point, Jimin waving that cameraman away on the floor of MetLife Stadium wasn't just him being a consummate professional.
No, it was a trauma response to the old rules of the industry.
Exactly. It was a conditioned response to a corporate machine that has historically demanded absolute, unbroken perfection.
He knew that showing weakness, showing that he was human and exhausted, was historically punished by the industry. The idol is supposed to be invincible.
But the fandom is actively rewriting those rules. When ARMY sees Jimin falling from heat exhaustion, or hears V talking about his permanent hearing loss, or Jungkook admitting to a stress fracture, the reaction isn't, dance harder, give us more. No, the reaction is, stop, rest, we will wait for you.
Exactly.
We don't want a flawless all-kill where a song sweeps every single music chart simultaneously if it means putting our bias, our absolute favorite member, in a hospital bed.
It is a profound paradigm shift. The consumers are demanding the ethical production of the art they consume. The fans are effectively unionizing on behalf of the artists.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to really mull over. As fans, our love, our views, our concert tickets, and our streaming, that is the fuel for the Hallyu Wave. We built this global phenomenon, but we have to ask ourselves, does our insatiable, constant demand for new content inadvertently fuel the immense pressure that keeps them dancing until they literally collapse on stage?
Or, in this new digital era, is the fandom actually the ultimate shield?
Yeah.
Because if the agencies only listen to money, then organized fans might be the only source powerful enough to protect the idols from the corporate machine.
It's a heavy question, but it's one we have to answer if we want to keep supporting the artists we love without breaking them. You've been listening to StarScope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu Wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.